All new this morning, the CDC clarifying what you can and can't do after getting the COVID-19 vaccine. And now they say if you've been fully vaccinated and are exposed to the virus, you do not have to quarantine. Liza Lucas following this update for us. And Liza, people might think, this is a no-brainer here, but there are some specific things that people need to know, like when someone is considered fully vaccinated.
That's right. There are several conditions when it comes to these new quarantine guidelines, and we want to break those down for you because a lot of people may not be familiar of what exactly it means to be fully vaccinated. Well, that's when you've had your first shot, your second shot, and then 2 weeks have passed. That is when you're considered fully vaccinated, and that's because that's how long it takes to build up full immunity. Now, there's another factor that the CDC mentions when it comes to being able to skip quarantine after getting the vaccine. You have to have had your second dose within 3 months, and that's because it's still not clear at this point how long protection from the vaccine lasts. So they've established this 3-month window. All that being said, if you develop symptoms, even if you've been vaccinated, you still need to go into quarantine. And precautions that you still also need to take, whether you've been vaccinated or not, include wearing a mask, social distancing, and avoiding crowds. And experts say it's still important that everyone takes these precautions because at this point, the CDC says it's still not clear whether those who have been fully vaccinated can still transmit the virus to others. A lot of this is evolving as we go. We're going to keep you posted as always. And speaking of masks, we have more on those new guidelines and double masking coming up for you in the next half hour.
All right, Liza, we'll see you then.